So today we are going to discuss about delta merge, HANA delta merge concept. So this delta merge is the one of the internal mechanism. So it will be in the internal mechanism. So we cannot run manually. So system will take care of this mechanism, delta merge. So delta merge concept. So what is this delta merge? So in the name itself, delta plus merge, merging, merging the delta. So what is mean by delta? So that we will discuss now. Okay. So delta merge concept. So delta merge. So normally data will be stored into main memory, right? Data will be stored into the main memory. Main memory means our physical memory. This is the our RAM slot. This is our physical memory, which means our RAM. Okay, main memory. We will call it as the main RAM memory. Okay, so memory. So and also we have OS level file systems as well, right? We have OS level file systems also we discussed. File system means drives. So we have file systems as well, like slash and our data, slash and our log, slash and our log. So slash and our log we discussed it, right? Correct, right? So why we have these file systems? Even though data is loading into main memory, why we have this file systems? Why means, okay, I will explain now. So normally main memory is divided into, this is a main memory. Okay. So main memory, whenever data comes to the main memory, so everything will operations will happen in the main memory only, right? So, but we have data, we have the file systems as well, data and log. So data and log, we have the file systems at the database level, we have the file systems as well. How we have SQL server, for SQL server also, if you see, if you observe for SQL server also, so we have the file systems. For SQL server also, we have the file systems, right? If you see here SQL server, so we have the files, data will be stored into the file system level only, right? Data folder, log folder, ECQ data folders and log folder. So all the tables data will be available in the, so here only. But in the HANA also we have the data folder and log folder. So why, sir? Initially we discussed, so HANA is in-memory database. Why we have again and again file systems concept? Again, why we have the file systems concept means, so you will understand, end of the course, you will understand why we have file systems and everything. Okay. So the main memory is divided into two types, right? So normally the main memory, SAP divided the main memory into two types. One is the delta storage, one is the delta storage, one is the delta storage, the second one is the main storage. Main memory is divided into two types normally. One is the delta storage and main storage. So we will do the partitioning of this one. So one is the delta storage, then second one is the main storage. This is the concept of the main memory. Main memory is divided into the two types. This is the DS. DS means, so delta storage. This is the MS. MS means main storage. So okay. So this one main delta storage and main storage. So the initially which we discussed, main memory. All the data will be stored into the main memory only. If I go back one step back and dig more, the main memory is divided into the two types. Then where exactly the main memory stores here? Is it DS or MS? So normally everyone knows data storing into the main memory. That's no. In the main memory is divided into the two types, right? DS and MMs. So in which one area? In which area? So data will be stored. In which area data will be stored? Which means, so delta or main, which one the data will be stored? So this is, so here normally whenever the data comes to the main memory, so the first it will store the data into, so DS, delta storage. So once the transaction is committed, once the transaction is committed in the, so delta storage, then the committed data will be moved to the main storage. The committed data will be moved to the main storage. So this mechanism is called the delta merge. This mechanism is called the delta merge concept. This mechanism is called the delta merge concept. Okay, this mechanism is called the delta merge concept. So whenever so if the transaction is committed, once the transaction is committed, then only the data will be moved to the main storage. So why we cannot directly do the write the transactions into the main memory, main storage? Why? Because main store operations are very costly, and also carefully we have to perform. Why? Because you are doing one transaction, but before itself there is a one transaction already committed. The transactions, the tables already storing into the main storage. So at the same time, the temporary calculations also doing in the main storage directly, then it will affect other tables as well. So we have other tables also. At the same time, here in the main storage we have the tables as well. We have tables also. We have in the tables we have the data. The data is storing here. So if I my directly data, if the my SQL query directly coming to the database, here the query is executing, which means it will affect, sometimes it will affect to the other tables as well. But other tables we have the lot of data, banking data, credit data. So either all the data is available. In case if this query, the new query will affect to the existing one, then it will impact the business operations, right? So avoid this one, SAP introduced the new memory concept that is called the delta storage concept, which means whatever the queries are executing, whatever the queries executing, whatever the SQL statements are executing. So database level data will come in the form of SQL statements, in the form of SQL statements. So that SQL statements, the first time it will execute here. The transaction, the first time it will execute here. In case of the transaction is successfully completed, that is in our language, successfully completed. In database language, so the transaction is committed, then the data, the committed data will be moved to from here to here. The committed data will be moved to the delta storage to main storage. That is called the delta merge concept. Whatever there in the delta, that will be merging with the main storage. That is called the delta merge concept. Okay, that is called the delta merge concept. It's a system internal process. System will take care of this process and everything. Suppose if I take example, I am going to the IRCTC or Amazon. Suppose if I go to the Amazon or Flipkart, so whatever I am doing, everything will happen in the I am doing, everything will happen in the main storage, delta storage only. Everything will happen in the delta storage only. Everything will happen in the delta storage only. So now everything is happening in the delta storage, right? So just if I click on the continue button, then enter the password, then it will go, right? Enter the password. Let me go. Let me go to the, let me log in and show you. So whatever I am doing here, it will directly fetch from the database. It will directly fetch from the database, and the whatever I am doing here, calculations and everything, it will do in the database only. It will do in the database only. So it will in the database, in the delta merge only. In the delta merge only, the operations will happen. In the delta merge only, the operations will happen. So let me log in here. Okay. Okay. So here, so just I'm just opening the one of the item. Okay, so add to cart. This is everything. Whatever I'm doing here, until the transaction is committed, everything will happen in the delta storage only. Everything will happen in the delta storage only. So then go to here, then proceed to buy. Still you have not completed the transaction, right? So then order this one, use this address. Okay. I'm not going to book it, but select the payment method, then So then select the payment method. Once your payment is completed, once select the payment method. Once your payment is completed means your order is successfully completed means then it will come back and your so session up to now we can try. But now if I book the order, what will happen? The payment will be completed. The transaction will be completed now. So then transaction is completing means so then the committed data, the transaction, the completed data will be moved to the main storage. Till then, you opened the multiple screens, you are added to the cart, you opened it, saving, adding the bank details, everything will happen in the delta storage only. Everything will happening in the delta storage only. Everything will happening in the delta storage only. Once the delta storage is completed, then it will move to the main storage. So when it will go to the main storage, once the transaction is committed, then it will go to the main storage. So why? Because so delta storage is write plus read optimized. Write, read, optimized means directly we can write the data into delta storage. So we means humans. So our systems. So some applications directly can read the data here, some write the data in the delta storage. But here main memory is only optimized for the read optimized, which means it's only read. You can only read the data from the database in the main storage. Whatever the data is there in the main storage, you can only read it. You cannot, so you cannot write it directly. Only the delta storage process, delta merge process, it will write the data into the main storage. Why? Because uh, why? Because delta storage is optimized for the read, write, and also plus compression mechanism. Plus compression, the data will be compressed. Here also the data will be compressed. Both are same. Data will be compressed means if the 2 GB data coming to the inside of the database means so here it will be compressed to the maybe 1 GB. 50% data will be compressed. That is compression technique that will use it, right? We discussed during the advantage of the HANA. So 10x compression technique. HANA will use the 10x compression technique. HANA will use the 10x compression technique to so compress the data. So then after that it will go to the so main storage. When the data will be go to the main storage, why? Because main storage is only read optimized, which means you cannot write directly data into the main storage. Before that, you have the delta storage mechanism. Here you have to write and read and compression, whatever you want, you can do here. But once the transaction is completed, then the data will be slowly will be moved to the main storage. So that mechanism is called the so delta merge mechanism. Okay. So then why we have file systems concept as well. So once the data moved to the main storage, then after 5 minutes, the data will come to the so data folder. The data will come to the data folder at operating system level. We have /n data, /n log folders are there, right? After the 5 minutes, it will come to the here. Then this mechanism is called the save point mechanism. This mechanism is called the save point interval. Save point interval will happen by default every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes. So the save point interval happen, which means whatever the data, first of all, whatever the data is executing here, after the committing, the data will go to the main storage, right? Once the main storage data goes to the here, then after the 5 minutes, suppose 10 o'clock, the saved data, the committed data reached to the here. Then 10:05, the data will be moved to the here. That is called the save point interval. This will happen in automatically. This entire process will happen in the index server only. Why? Because the data is storing into the index server. So that's the reason. That's the reason. So here we have the data will be moved to the data folder from main memory to main storage to data folder. Automatically this will happen. This is called the save point interval. So that will happen every 5 minutes by default. Sir, I want 10 minutes. Can I change it? Yes, you can change it. So you can change it as well. But so by default, our SAP recommended approach is 5 minutes only. So 5 minutes is the default interval. So after 5 minutes, it will go to the data folder. So why, sir? Why it is going to the data folder? We have only data in the RAM memory, right? Why data is available here, one copy, data is available in the main storage, one copy, and one more data, same data will be moving to the here. Means we have the multiple copies of data. Why it is moving to the file systems are? If you ask me that question, so why? Because HANA RAM memory is volatile memory. Volatile memory means temporary memory only. So RAM is volatile memory. So suddenly, if the system is crashed, whatever data is there in the RAM memory, everything will be flushed out. Everything will be cleared. Everything will be cleared. Suppose now, what is our RAM usage? Memory is 13% memory usage, right? Which means 6.4 GB it is using now. So if I restart it, it will come to the 0 GB, right? Why? Because if you restart it, it will come to the 0 GB. So which means, so everything, whatever the data is there in the RAM memory, everything will be flushed out. Flushed out means everything will be cleared. It will come to the zero. It will come to the zero. We already seen that one. So in the last class, when we stop the HANA database, when the HANA database is up and running, that time your memory usage is very high. When we click on the HDB stop command, then memory status comes to the zero status, 0%, which means whatever the data storing into the in the main memory will be flushed out after the restart or after the stopping the HANA database. HANA database. So which means HANA RAM memory is volatile memory. So you have stopped the HANA database, everything got flushed out. Then how again data will come? How again data will come to the main memory? Or why? Because data is there in the main memory. How it will come? So to avoid that inconsistencies and for disaster recovery mechanisms, so what HANA will do here, data will come to the here first delta storage, then main storage. This all operations will are happening from main memory only, the RAM memory. So but RAM memory is the volatile memory. The data will be available till restart, only. If you stop the restart, some hardware crashes happened, some OS crashes happened, data will be gone. Whatever the data is there, everything will be gone. So then what about the data? What about my data, my financial data? So that is the reason when the transaction comes to the main storage, then one copy of data after the 5 minutes, the data is storing into the data folder. Data is storing into the data folder. So the data is storing into the data folder. So always it will write the logs here. Always it write the logs here, but every time, every minute, once the data comes to the here, immediately first it will write the data in the log folder, then the transaction will be committed here. But in the data folder, it will write every 5 minutes. In the data folder, it will write every 5 minutes. So in this way, your HANA system is stopped, restarted. Your HANA system is crashed. In this case, what happens? When you are starting the HANA database, HDB start command, when you are starting the HANA database, what exactly happens? Suppose if you use the HDB start command, then what happens exactly? Then the data will be reloaded. Data will be reloaded from the file system to again main storage. It will be reloaded. Data will be reloaded. This is called the data 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 reloaded from. So here this is called the file system, right? This is called the our OS level file systems. Then to main memory, it will be reloaded automatic. This procedure is called the automatic. System will take care of, HANA database will take care of this internal mechanism. But we should be aware what exactly happens, that we should aware of. So we should aware of that one. This is called the delta merge and save point mechanism. So how the data, now what we discussed is, so whenever any restart happens, whenever any database restart happens, whenever any database restart happens, whatever the data is there in the RAM memory, everything will be flushed out. Everything will be flushed out. The data will be flushed out. So to avoid this one, one copy of data, once the data comes to the here, after the 5 minutes, one copy of data, automatically the system internal process will write the data into data folder. Same data, whatever the data is there here, same data will be present here. Whatever the data XYZ is there, same XYZ tables will come to the here. Then once it is restarted, means data will be gone, everything will be gone, everything will be deleted. Then what about my data? So you don't need to worry about the data. Why? Because so data is available here as well, right? The file system data folder. So then the data will be reloaded when you just execute the HDB start command. So whatever the data is there in the data folder, it will be loaded. It will be loaded to main storage. It will be loaded to the main storage again, reloaded. It will be loaded to the main storage. Then only database will come to the on status. It will operate, it will come to the on status. Otherwise, until unless it will not start the database. That's why HANA database, while stopping or while starting the HANA database, it will take a while. It will take some time to completely start the database because data will be reloaded. Data will be loaded to the main memory from file systems. This is the delta merge concept and save point interval. Okay, so any questions from anyone? Is it understand this concept? So you did not get idea, right? So data is storing into the main memory. Whenever we restart our laptops or mobile phones or smart devices, whatever the data is there in the RAM memory, everything will be flushed outside, right, sir? So then how data HANA is storing into data into the main memory? How data is getting again, which means, so yes, that's true. Everything will be flushed out. But the thing is, whenever you click HDB start, whenever you are starting the HANA database, then the data will be reloaded to the main storage. Again, whatever the data is there previously, same data will be reloaded to the here. Yes, right. Tell me, Sneh, you have some question? Hello, we can't hear you, Sneh.
హలో
Yes, Sneh, tell me.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ జాబ్ చేస్తున్నాం అనుకోండి, బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ జాబ్ ప్రాసెస్ మొత్తం కంప్లీట్ అయితేనే ఇప్పుడు డేటా స్టోరేజ్లోంచి మెయిన్ స్టోరేజ్లోకి డేటా
Okay. Once the transaction is committed only, you have done the transaction successfully. There is a if condition here. If the transaction is committed, then only the data will be moved from DS to MS. Not like that, if the transaction is not completed means the data will not be moved. So here, once the transaction is committed, then only the data will be moved from the DS to MS. Got it?
అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు టీ కోడ్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ చేస్తాం కదా సార్, ఎవరి టీ కోడ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేస్తాం కదా సార్, అప్పుడు అప్పుడు ఎవరి ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ టీ కోడ్కి డేటా మూవ్ అయిపోతుందా సార్?
Yeah, you have committed the data. Suppose, so you done the one setting, you have opened the SMLG, then you saved it, then immediately you saved it, right? Then the data, the saved data, the configuration will be available here only, but that you saved it successfully, then that will be moved to the MS. Then after the 5 minutes, it will go to the data folder again. Yes, every time, whenever you do transaction, whenever you commit the transaction, so there is no time interval here. Immediately it will commit the data. So your thing is, if the transaction is committed, then only the data will be moved to the, so delta merge to delta merge. It will go to the DS to MS. At the same time, if I talk about the, you have opened the, suppose one IRCTC website you have opened, the same time IRCTC website you have opened, Then, so you are trying to book the ticket. Till then, you have opened the IRCTC. Everything is fetching the data from the database level. Everything fetching the database from the database level. So then it will fetch the data from the database level. Then just refresh. Then book the train. So book the book now. Book now. So everything will happen. Everything is happening in the Delta storage. Why? Because data is fetching, opening, storing, booking. So once your booked your transaction, once you book the ticket, once the payment is done, your transaction will be booked, right? Once the payment is done, your ticket will be booked, right? Till then, the operations will happen here only. Once the transaction is committed, means your transaction is committed, completed. So that's why in our language, the transaction is completed. But in the database language, the transaction is committed. Then that's completed. Then it will go to the main storage. You have booked the one ticket, that booked ticket data will be available here. After the 5 minutes, same data will be available in the data folder as well. Very interesting topic, actually, this one. But it will happen in the back end. Just sometimes interviewers, they will ask questions. What is delta storage? What is save point mechanism? So why this will happen? What exactly happens when you are starting the HANA database? When you are starting the HANA database, why it will take some time means whatever the data is there in the file systems, it will be reloaded to the main storage. Why? Because so main storage, after the restart, data will be deleted, data will be cleaned, or data will be flushed out, whatever the word we can put it, or right word you can put. So data will be flushed from the main memory. So to again data will be reloaded to the here. If the data is not reloading here, then it will be slow again, right? Why? Because other databases and this database, what is the difference? So here data is storing into the main memory. Other databases are not. So that's why again it will reload the data here. So for accessing the data from here, it's very late, but accessing the data from the main memory means RAM memory is very fast. So that's why applications directly access the data from here. So to get the data here, it will be reloaded. It will be load the data from data folder to so and MS main storage. Okay. So any questions, anyone?
సార్ మరి డిస్క్ స్టోరేజ్ లో వాట్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ డేటా విల్ బి స్టోర్?
Same data, whatever the data is there here, the delta storage, same data will be stored here as well. As I told you, right? Whatever the data is storing into here, same data storing into the here as well. But after the 5 minutes only, the data will be stored here. Every 5 minutes, the save point interval will happen. So same data will be happens here.
డిస్క్ స్టోరేజ్ లోకి ఇప్పుడు మనం మాన్యువల్ గా డేటా పుష్ చేస్తామో లేకపోతే ఆటోమేటిక్ అదే వెళ్ళిపోతుంది?
Automatic, everything, the procedure is everything is automatic. System will take care of this procedure. You no need to worry about this one. In case, so in case system is not doing automatic, then we have manual merge, manual procedure as well, but that is not recommended by SAP. So system will take care of that procedure, automatic procedure. You no need to do anything. Just you should be aware of, okay, these are the concepts are there in the, these are the mechanisms we are happening in the, so in the main memory, in the disk storage. Okay, got it? Any questions from anyone? It's clear, right? Simple. First data will come to the delta storage. Okay. Here the transaction will be completed. So, okay, the transaction is completed, right? Then the committed data will be moved to the here. Then once you come to the here, So data will be stored here. Your operations is done. You can go home. But system automatically after the 5 minutes, same data will be copied to the here. Why? Because to ensure consistency purpose. Why? Because tomorrow, due to some natural calamity, your hardware is crashed. Then whatever the data is there in the main memory, everything is gone. What about the data again? Right? What about the I did the transaction yesterday? What about my data? To avoid this inconsistencies, what happens? Same data will be loaded to the data folder here. Then when our file systems, the data will be safe here. Even our local drives, our GB, like our local drives, and also our memory chips, pen drives, the data will be there here. So we can access from any time, right? We can access from any time. At the same time, so data is available here. Whenever you starting the HANA database, then the data will be reloaded from here to here. It will be reloaded. That will happen. That is the concept of the delta merge save point interval. So while starting the HANA database also, what exactly happens here? When you are starting the HANA database, what exactly happens? So the data will be loaded to main storage, from file system to main storage. So which data? Again, here there is a priorities again. All the data? Yes, all the data. In all the data, which one is go first? We have the 10 purpose, they are running from A to B, they are running race, but who will win? First person will win. First person, who is the first person here? Right? We should be aware of that one, right? So then here, whenever, if I go a little bit deeply, if you understand this concept, I will explain that small topic. That is also very important. Okay, you understand, right? This concept, delta merge concept. So then whenever you are starting the HANA database, HANA starting mode, whenever you are on starting time, what exactly happens? The first system tables, system tables will, this is a very important, system tables will be loaded. System tables will be loaded from file system or data folder to our file system. Simply we can write file system to main memory. Then what next? Then column store tables, column store tables will be loaded. Then what next? So here secondary indexes will be created. Then column store tables will be loaded. Then fourth one, roll forward, then roll back. Roll forward and roll back transactions will happen. So what is, we know system tables, no, who will load first means this guy will load first. Then secondary indexes will be created. Then business tables, these are the column store tables, are the business table, or the business data will be stored into the column. Okay, so first system tables will be loaded, then secondary indexes. Why? Because system tables means configuration tables. So which table should be placed where, all the system configuration. So first system configuration will be loaded. Then column store tables will be loaded. Then column store tables means our business table, all business data will be available. Then roll forward. Roll forward means, so whenever system crashing time, whenever the system is crashing, the time, so your transaction is not complete. Sometimes what happens, when you are doing that, suppose example here, two scenarios, right? Two scenarios, roll forward, roll back. Roll forward means, so you are doing the transaction, you went to the payment mode, then your payment is done. When you are getting the confirmation from the ticket, immediately your power gone, your transaction, your power gone, you have not received the ticket, something is happened, power or something is happened, you have not received the ticket. So but your payment is done. amount is deducted from your account, but you are not sure whether the ticket is booked or not, something is happened, everything is gone. So in that case, what happens after the some time, or after the 24 hours, after some time, so what exactly happens? If your transaction is committed, then ticket will be received, right? Even though you done the transaction, data is committed, the ticket is available, then you will get the ticket. That is called the roll forward. It will go roll forward and it will generate the ticket for you. But roll back, your transaction is not completed. Your transaction is not completed. Your transaction is not completed successfully. In between, while it is committing, your power is gone or something is happened, your transaction is not committed. Your transaction is not committed, which means the transaction will be rolled back. It will be rolled back. Then your amount will be credited to your account in 24 hours or 12 hours. The amount is credited. So that will happen. That is the operations of the delta merge. And then in a real time, in your day-to-day scenarios, you will experience this type of concepts, right? So when you go ATM machines, you will withdraw amount, you will get a message like 5,000 debited your account. But when you see amount from the machine, your amount is not, it will not come, right? That will happen sometimes. So if you complained it, or if you not complained it as well, maybe in the 5 working days or 24 hours or 48 hours, the banking team, they will revert your transaction, they will investigate and they will revert your transaction to you, right? That will happen automatically, right? Even though if you complete also, if you not complete as well, your data, your amount will be credited to you. Why? Because you done the transaction, but amount is not come from ATM machine, right? So means your transaction is not completed, but you got the message data, you got the message like your amount is debited. So which means something is wrong. For that wrong, the rollback operations will happen. Then your data, your amount will be credited. Roll forward means you done the transaction successfully, but ticket is booking, when the ticket booking time, the power is gone, but physically your transaction is completed technically. So immediately system will go forward one step and it will book the ticket. Roll back means previous status. So these operations will happen. Roll forward means it will go forward and will commit the transaction. Roll back means your transaction will be previous status. Roll back your transactions. Whatever the transactions you are doing, the transactions will be rolled back. Means whatever the amount is deducted, that amount will be credited to your account. That will happen the roll forward, and this will happen during the HANA starting time. So that's why whenever you are starting the HANA database, it will take a lot of time, not a lot of time, maximum 40 minutes, 30 minutes, it will take it out. So wise means these 5 operations will happen one by one, serial wise. Okay, you need to remember these points. Guys, once again, I'm telling this delta merge save point is very, very important. If they ask, they will ask questions. In deeply, they are asking the questions means because of only this concept, they will ask the questions. If you answer these questions, okay, they can assume like you are the master in the HANA administration side, they won't ask any questions. Okay, so that's why HANA during the HANA, why they will ask the question. Why during the HANA starting time, it will take some time, will not immediately come up. Why? Because the first system tables will be loaded, then column store tables, roll forward and roll back. Okay, this will happen here. So will the data directly will execute main storage? No. Why? Because main store is optimized for the read, but not delta storage, write and read, we can do that one. So once the data go to the here, then where the data goes, as part of the save point interval, automatically data will be saved to the data folder. So whenever anything happens, again the data will be file system will be same. If the data system restarts, so something is happens, your file system data will be same. It will be saved into the file system level. So then data will be loaded to the here. Okay, you got it? Any questions from anyone? Once again, I'm asking. No, right? Got it, right? Okay.